Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Prandhara Prem. And we're going to give people a few minutes to come on. Yeah. Um, well, I'll go ahead and introduce you, and then we'll give people a few minutes to come on and then
Yes.
reintroduce or something. So I am
Okay.
so excited to have Mo the Goddess here. So we kind of like, oh my God, we kind of like connected from Bali because I was just in Bali and you live in Bali, but we didn't meet personally. We're in the same group. So okay, so it looks like Latoya is on. Latoya, hello. Latoya, you've been on for a while. You got your 847. Thanks for like hanging out and waiting for us to start. Are
don't see anyone. Am I supposed to see? Let me see.
you on?
Oh, there we
Can
go.
you see?
Okay, I see the comments now.
You see
Live
the
comments. Hey, Latoya.
one?
That's my girl, Latoya. Latoya is a really, really big supporter. Hey, Latoya.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I could see that because she got on at 847. And she was like, I'm not missing this. She was like, let me make sure I click on and I'm there to catch the whole thing. So awesome. Love that. Love that. Love that. So
Thank you for being here.
you're welcome. So it's so crazy because we're in a group in Bali. I guess it's kind of like with expats living in Bali or
Right.
something like that, or coming through or been through Bali. And so how did we meet? So I think I put up my YouTube something and then you made a great comment. You were like, you'll subscribe. And I was like, awesome. Then I subscribed to yours. And I was like, oh, I love her YouTube page. So I was
Yeah,
like, come
I
on.
think you put one of your videos up, and I listened to the video, and I was like, oh, we have similar messaging. She's talking about the same thing that I'm talking about. So that's when I told you I was going to subscribe to your channel. But yeah, I'm happy that we finally get to meet each other face to face, even though it's virtually. Everything is virtual nowadays, huh?
Right. Welcome to the new era. I think it's gonna be like this for a while. Everything is just gonna be virtual. Latoya says we're both beautiful. Thank you. More people are coming on.
So just so you guys know, I have to have a disclaimer here. I did not sleep none last night. I was very, very sick, and I just got up this morning and felt a little bit better. So, anyway, I just wanted to give that disclaimer because my mind might be a little foggy today. I didn't get any sleep, but I didn't want to miss this either. Um,
Right.
I didn't want to let my people down, so I'm here, and that's what we do as goddesses. We push through, right?
Exactly, exactly. And you look amazing. You look amazing. So good. So as people, as you're coming on, just kind of say hello, introduce yourself, say hi, say something so we can know you're there. Because we can't see who's on, we just see numbers, but it'd be nice to kind of be able to see who's here and any comments. So I really like for this to be kind of interactive. I really love to hear from you, hear if you have any questions for either of us, so that way we can answer. And so let's get started. So
Okay.
Mo and I was talking, and I don't even know kind of how it went, like, but I was like, oh my God, you have so much confidence. Amazing. Like, how did you get to be so confident? And I just have to say, so forgive me, I talk a lot sometimes. But
Oh,
I just have to say, even just a little talk that we had yesterday, or was it the day before yesterday, you inspired me. So I've just been so excited to have you here. And I can't wait to hear about how you got to this unapologetic living, how you got to the point where you like don't apologize for shit. Like, I want to know. So I know other people want to know.
you know why? Because it took me. I went through so many years of apologizing for everything. There has always been something about me that was different. I was always the biggest one in the class. I was always the tallest one. I always stood out.
Mhm.
And most of the time I stood out in ways that was as a child I felt was negative, because
Mhm.
you get attention from men, grown men, and then the people your age are looking at you like, oh my God, why does she look like that?
Mhm. Right.
So I spent so many years trying to fit in and trying to be accepted because adults told me I was too much and the kids told me I was too much or not enough. So, when you spend your life like that trying to figure out who you are and you spend so many years of being unhappy, I was just like, I got to do something different. Like, I got to really understand that this is me and this is all that I can be. So, how do I do that? I
Mhm.
spent so long trying to figure it out. So, I just want you to know it didn't start out like that. It started out with me having very low self esteem. And somehow I just managed to work my way over to the polar opposite and build myself up. But at the same time, I still have triggers that take me back to that little girl, that take me back to fitting in. And that's when, I rebel even more. Like, hell no, no. I am no, I am good enough. I am pretty enough. I am tall enough. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, um, being by myself most of the time, I had to do the work for me. So now we're here.
Yeah, yeah. And that's beautiful that you got to that point. And it's so interesting that you said sometimes you get triggered and you go back to that inner child, right?
Yeah.
And so I know it's similar for me too, because, I didn't necessarily always fit in. My family was from the Caribbean. And so there was times I didn't really understand the American sense of humor or what they were talking about. Because, even though I grew up in the States in Brooklyn, I had Caribbean parents and so Haitian parents. And so I grew up on Haitian stuff and Haitian food. And so they would say something and I wouldn't understand, or they would joke about a TV show or something and I wouldn't understand. And they would be like, well, what planet are you from? So I could see myself, for many years trying to being making sure I fit in and I watched what I said, and I didn't want to say the wrong thing to make someone upset, and so it's a process. It's a
It is
process.
totally, totally a process. Even as I became an adult, and I developed my own personality, my own style, my own way, and thinking that I had adult friends who were really down for me, I still felt that sense of difference. Like they would look at me like, oh, who does she think she is? So I
Mhm.
found myself um, shrinking when I
Mm.
came around other women to make them feel like, oh, she's not all that. She looked like she all that, but she ain't
Right,
all that. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I shrank for so many years, and um, it was just a really uncomfortable and unhappy way of living for me. And no more of that. I started to understand that's not my damn problem. This is
Mhm.
who I'm going to be. It's not my problem how they feel about them because it's obviously, that's the issue. It's not me. It's not anything personal. It's how they feel about them. So now, I am becoming, I've actually taken this time. I'm glad um, that I'm still in the becoming phase. A lot of what people see is me just practicing what I kept suppressed for so many years, and they don't
Wow.
know confidence. Am I good? Um, it's totally a process, and I know us as women, shape or form.
Oh, I think your internet is kind of going out.
Is it?
Yeah. So I didn't catch what you just said. Uh-oh, I think she's frozen.
Okay.
Oh,
Let.
okay. But it's going really
How am I
slow.
now?
A little bit better. Say something.
Am I sounding like I'm underwater?
Yeah, you're sounding like you're underwater. And I think you're frozen. Oh, I think she's frozen. So while she's coming back on, it's somebody said interesting. Thank you for commenting. Um but yeah, so it's always a process. And the thing is even as an adult, we're going through the work to become confident in who we are as a person or sexually. Hi, Miriam. Thanks for commenting. You know, it doesn't mean that we never get triggered or we never go back to who we are. And one of the interesting thing is I remember last year I put up, she disappeared. I think she's gonna come back, try to get something. The internet is tough. So last year I put up a nude picture up, and on Instagram and Facebook, and then my family was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You put a nude picture up?" And I was like, "You couldn't really see anything. You couldn't see the nipples or anything. You knew that I was nude, but you couldn't see anything." And they had a fit. And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I was just like, "Okay, I mean, I hear you, and I understand you, and I understand your concerns." But you really don't have to be all embarrassed because it's not your life, it's my life. I'm the one who's putting the picture up. So, and I had to really, when I started working with Tantra, I like to say I came out the closet. Because it was like, that's when I was like, no, I need to be who I am, unapologetically. Okay, so Mo the Goddess is back. Real quick, so Miriam's on. She says hello. Yusef says hello from a Black American in Sao Paulo. Hey. Okay, so you were saying, sorry, when you cut off, I just started talking until you got back on.
So am I clear now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. The internet here in Bali, it's crazy. I'm sure you know.
Yes, I remember. It's like that here in Brazil too.
Yeah,
So
it goes in and out. Sorry about that. But yeah, it is a work. And that's another thing. When you talk about the whole body and body image, um, I started to do work with my body and be free with expressing myself, even as far as my body is concerned, because like I said, I never felt like my body was good enough. And I still struggle with areas of that, like feeling like my body is not good enough. So my way of doing my therapy is taking provocative pictures and expressing myself through the images that I present and letting other women know, like, look, I got these stretch marks, I got this roll right here on my back, but guess what, I still feel good about me because this is what it is right now, and until it goes away is what it's gonna be. So yeah, it's totally a work. It's totally a work.
yeah, it totally is. Latoya just said the internet here has been acting up too, and I think it's because everyone is home on it.
Yep,
Yes.
I agree.
And Miriam says, FYI, you are both beautiful. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank
All of
you.
you are beautiful too. You and Latoya said that too. Beautiful. We are all beautiful. So this is what I like to say. When someone says you're beautiful, it's because they're beautiful. Like you see the beauty in others. We're all reflections of each other. And so for you to be able to see that in someone else, it means it's in there, it's in you as well. So thank you. So
That's so true. If anyone's been following me for any length of time, that's how I greet my audience. That's how I greet my people. That's how I start, my blogs. Hi, beauties, and that's just a way of speaking to myself. And I feel like the more expressive I am, speaking to myself, because all my blogs I'm writing to myself and people don't realize
right.
I'm writing letters to myself. I'm expressing, I'm being transparent about my own emotions and my own feelings, and I'm sharing that. And I've learned to do that more these days, to share how I truly feel, because at the end of the day, you are speaking for women and people all around the world who don't have a voice or don't feel like they have a voice. So when I speak to myself, that's when people hit me up the most and be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I'm going through that and this happened to me. So I find that the more open you are and the more expressive you are, you're really just allowing other people to have permission to be open and express themselves as well. So, when I figured out what my purpose was, all that stuff that I went through and all those, uneasy feelings and all that feeling unworthy is I can't be the only one. You know what I'm saying? Like there's 7 billion people in the world. I cannot be, or 700 billion. I cannot be the only one who feels like that. So when I started to be open and free with myself and I started to see that I was not alone, it gave me the confidence to be more confident. And I think that a lot of women keep our emotions and our feelings and those triggers, and we keep that stuff packed. We carry that baggage for years out of shame, out of somebody's going to judge me. And I'm just telling people that you should be more free. Be free to be free. Be whole, because you are whole. This is who you are. And when you share that, it inspires someone else to become whole within themselves as well. So I just remember what my purpose is in life, and I go with that.
And that's so true. And I think the thing is, we have been conditioned to not be vulnerable. And that's about being vulnerable. So when you can be honest and transparent and share what you're feeling, you're making yourself vulnerable. And we've learned that, you make yourself vulnerable, you're opening yourself up to get hurt. But it's the complete opposite. Because I have been too, like, in relationships, people would be like, I don't know how you feel. I don't know what you think about me. And then I remember the first time that I actually shared in a relationship with an ex, what I felt, he was like, oh my God, thank you so much for expressing that. And he opened up even more. And I was like, ooh, he didn't yell. He didn't scream. He didn't walk away,
Right.
and it was like, and sometimes in our minds, because of, what we've seen in terms of our parents' relationships or other relationships, or what we've heard or from media, we think we can't express ourselves because we're going to lose the person or we're going to put the person away. But it actually brings us closer when we're opening up and we're expressing ourselves. So I
And
like
see,
that.
that's another thing for me too. I was the only girl, and I was raised by a strong mother, and she always taught me never let them see you sweat. Straighten up your face, don't cry, hold your head up.
Yeah.
So I was taught not to express myself. I was taught, and I know that was her way of wanting me to be strong, knowing what she knew about this whole world. Of course, you want your daughter to be strong and independent. So a lot of that I was taught to be strong and independent and never let them see you sweat, it really hardened me for a lot of years as well. Um, and it's funny how we celebrate and we and we give the kudos to all those that are free and vulnerable with themselves. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe they're saying that, being that, showing that. We admire that. But then when it comes to being vulnerable for our own selves, it's like, no, I can't. We keep that to ourselves. So I think it's just time for us to step out and to shake all those old beliefs and that old indoctrination of how you're supposed to carry yourself, and understand that it's a new day and it's a new time. It's time for us to rise, especially right now. It's time for us to rise up and step into a higher version of who we were created to be and start living loud. So that's just, what I try to show and express and coach.
And I think that so many people are afraid. How do you think that, just to kind of, how can people start to let go of that fear little by little? And I know it's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like, you're not going to be like, okay, I want to live unapologetically, and the next day you wake up and you're doing it. So it's a process. But how do you begin to chip away at the fear or chip away at making yourself vulnerable? How do you think?
Well, that's why I feel like right now it is a time of blessings to start to unfold, because how I do it, and where I find that a lot of people are uncomfortable with doing it, is I take time to look at myself and be honest with myself, be truthful. So, um, I notice there's a lot of people who don't even know who they are. They haven't taken the time by themselves to get to know, what those triggers are, and get to know how they've limited themselves. So that's how I do it. All the things that I desire from other people, or that I thought that I missed, all the attention and all the nurturing and all the "you're beautiful and you are enough." I tell myself those things. I
Mhm.
buy myself flowers. I have nights out on the town with myself, just as I would with a man. I lay the
Mhm.
table out beautifully. When I drink my water, I drink it in a wine glass. And I just start, practicing all those things that I missed, or I thought I was missing from other people, and that I thought I needed. I give
Mhm.
those things to myself. So I take the time to really get to know me, and I go inward. And the more you take time by yourself, the more the universe, Goddess starts to reveal to you who you are. And then
Mhm.
you ask the questions like, okay, different areas of your life where you feel like you're stagnant, or you feel like you want to grow, or you feel like you're limited. Instead of saying, well, why am I like this, and why is this happening to me? You ask the question, what is this? What am I supposed to be learning here? What is
Mhm.
this teaching me? You know, More empowering questions. So the more I started to empower myself, I started to chip away at those old behaviors, those old thoughts, and I'm still chipping away. To be honest
Mhm.
with you, I'm still chipping away. It's not like
Yeah.
I've arrived. It's still a work in process. And as long as you have another day to get up and breathe, then you still working. You still have time to do the work. You never just land. It's you got to keep pushing. You got to keep going.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. That's so true. It's funny because I was just thinking this myself. For me personally, I was well, I told you my laptop broke. Well, not broke, but it
Mhm.
stopped turning on. And then today, I'm like, I put a post up on Facebook, and then automatically Facebook like, oops, security, like we want to make sure that you're not spamming because you sent out too many stuff. I'm like, how did I send out too much stuff? I mean, we're in a quarantine. Everybody's posting like crazy on social media. Social media
Right.
went up like by 40%. And
Uh-huh.
it shuts me out. And then it's like, oh, to get back on, we're gonna send you a security code to your phone. But it's an old phone, and it's not allowing me to be able to send this to my email. So then I go in and I'm like, okay, the forgot password. And then I was able to get in and get a new password, but then it goes back to needing that cell phone number. And I'm like, I can't get into Facebook. And so I'm like, okay. I mean, I really just wanted to scream. I'm like, first laptop, then Facebook shuts me down. And I was like, okay, just breathe. What is the universe saying? The universe is saying to you, oh, let me step back a little bit first. So I travel a lot, okay? And so now I can't travel. I was supposed to be in the States, and then I was supposed to be going to a couple of different places, and that didn't happen because of this. I'm like, first my travel plans stopped, then the
Right.
laptop, then Facebook. So I'm like, okay, this is really saying that now is the time for me to really do this work and go within,
Right.
to go in. Like everything happens for a reason. And so when all of this happened, I just had to laugh. And I was like, okay, there's something I'm not seeing right now that I need to see. So So the universe conspires to assist us, and the universe is like, Renee, you need to stop for a minute. You need to
Yeah.
just relax and look at yourself. And so, when I heard you saying that, I was like, yeah, it's a reminder that as much work as I'm doing, there's still more, and it never ends. But it's not like, even though the work never ends, it gets better in the sense that you see your improvement and you see you're moving. When
Right.
I say better, I don't mean the work gets better, because it can be harder sometimes. It can even be more difficult, but it gets better in the sense that you can see your improvements. You could see where you're going, you know? Um, so sometimes people think, well, if I make all these changes, life gets easier. It doesn't necessarily mean that it gets easier. And, you just learn how to accept and deal with things a little bit more differently.
So before I start talking, before I get, how's my
Oh, you sound like you're way deep down underwater.
thing? I you. So sorry, y'all.
Yeah, can't really hear you.
Oh my God.
I heard the oh my God.
I see
Okay,
it going
you're
in
coming
and
back.
out. That's why I'm like, I'm back.
Kind of. Are you talking? Yeah, can't hear you. So,
I'm so
no, it's okay. It's okay. There's more people online right now. More people are home. More people use the internet. So it's the connections are definitely a lot worse now. Um,
I see here though. Just to say this, hopefully you guys can hear a little bit of what
okay, we
I'm
can hear you
saying.
now.
Okay. Yeah, even with me going through my Bali belly yesterday, my bout with that all morning and not being able to sleep. And then, when I got up and I finally got all that crap off my stomach, I just thank God. Like, thank you. Thank you. And most people would be like, oh my God, why am I going through this? Why am I so sick? But it was a reminder that you need to take care of yourself. You need to eat
Mhm.
better. You can't just be going and eating everybody's food.
Right.
Stick to what you're used to and eat properly for yourself. So it was a reminder for me to look at myself and go, you know what? I'm here for myself. Um, Things are very sketchy right now. I cannot be allowing myself to be ill to possibly contract sort of viruses or like that. So it just reminded me, okay, guys, step your game up and start taking care of yourself a little bit better. So yeah, if you ask the right questions and if you start showing a little bit of gratitude for where you're at in life, then things will often get easier. They'll get better.
Mhm. Yeah. And that gratitude is key. And so this is one of the things that I've started doing when I wake up in the mornings and when I go to sleep. If I remember, I'm not gonna lie and say I do it every day, but I try to do it consistently. And when I remember, um, but I do wake up and I'm like, oh, thank you. And I start saying things that I'm grateful for. And I
Right.
really now make an effort to be like, thank you, lungs. Thank you, lungs, for working and being strong and being healthy. Because I believe that, the more you're grateful and you're acknowledging and you're speaking affirmation, we have the power of healing ourselves and even preventing
Right.
things. And
Right.
so, I've been like, thank you, kidneys, for functioning and not having fear. Because in Chinese medicine, kidneys is related to fear, So I'm like, thank you for, and I don't say the negative words that I don't want because the universe doesn't know that difference. So I'm not like, thank you for not having fear, but I'm like, thank you for having trust and faith and confidence. Thank you for being healthy and strong. And I go through all of my movements, my organs and my body. And then I try to consciously think of the different people that I'm grateful for that's in my life, you know, different family members, friends, people that I've met, you know, and so it's so important to really just not only be grateful, but being grateful and then also speaking that affirmation, especially in this time right now, is just so important that we're conscious of what's going in our minds and what we're thinking, because our thoughts are so powerful, so
They
powerful.
really, they really are. They really are. And you know, and oftentimes we have to remind ourselves of um, words that we use and uh, how you know you can either empower yourself or not, depending on the words that you use.
Hmm.
And like you said, the universe doesn't know the difference. So that's another thing that, you know, I work with my clients on, I work with myself on, because we've been programmed to speak a certain way, to think a certain way, you know, and act a certain way, and it's embedded in us. So this is a beautiful time right now. If you change
Hmm.
the perspective, this is a beautiful time right now for you to step your game up and step into what you have been limited to see in the past, you know. And sometimes when you are healing, it's gonna hurt. Sometimes that hurt is worse than the healing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, or the healing is worse than the actual hurt, I mean. But yeah, you know, it never stops, it never ends. And I think the words that we use and how we speak to ourselves and how we treat ourselves plays a major part in being unapologetic. You know, um, when you are doing the work on yourself, you're not going to allow somebody, just any old body, to come into your life and treat you any old kind of way when you treating yourself good. Can't
Right.
nobody come and talk to me crazy because I
Right.
talk nice to myself. Can't nobody come, you know, and treat me crazy because I know that I am worthy and I know that I can have whoever I want to have if I want to, you know.
Right.
You have to be able to tell yourself that. And
Hmm.
I haven't actually been in a relationship since 2013, and I haven't desired that, but I know that if and when I'm ready, I can have that because I'm continuously doing the work on myself. And furthermore, a brother ain't gonna come and step to a woman who he sees that obviously takes very good care of herself when he
Hmm.
is slacking, when he ain't got no good intentions. You know,
Yeah.
so that's how I just live my life. I live my life like that, like, you know, I got this, I'm okay. And when someone else does come along who is going to treat me just a fraction of how I treat myself, then and only then will I be concerned about, you know, another a relationship or anything like that. But I think that's just what people see, me being good to myself, and it just kind of
Hmm.
it comes out.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing because in terms of, you know, being on the dating scene, if if a guy is not like able to treat you how you deserve to be treated, then it's like you can't stand that. It's
Mhm.
And so sometimes sisters are in a relationship and vice versa. It could be guys who are in a relationship and they don't even realize that the guy is disrespecting them because it's so subtle. And you know, and I remember I was in a relationship with a guy and I didn't realize it. This was when I was like 25. He was quite emotionally abusive to me and I didn't realize it until like later.
Mhm.
And it was a whole thing that he was he had a low self-esteem. He didn't graduate from high school, had his GED, and I had graduated from college. So, you know, he would say little things to kind of put me down, you
Right.
know? And but it was just like so subtle that I didn't even realize it. And I was just like, you know, and it was just kind of to help him feel better about himself. And the crazy thing was, it wasn't even me that broke up with him. It was like he broke up with me, and then he like cheated and got some woman pregnant. And it wasn't until after I was like, you know, like after you get out and you were like,
Right. I bet you look at that and be like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking? What was I like? And he had two kids that lived with him, and then I was instant like stepmom. And then it was like, because I did live with him for a minute. Yeah, I had lost my mind at that time. I don't know.
We
And
all do.
so, and it was just like, but when I got out of it, it's like I realized what was going on. And it was like, nah, this ain't gonna happen again. And so then that just kind of, so I was also grateful that I went through that because I learned a lot from that. And
Right.
I learned I have to like love myself and know what's going on, be like very observant in a relationship so that I can understand. And, and I've been in a relationship since, so my last relationship was 2015, 2016, 2016. And so I was just like, but ever since then, I went in the same relationships if, they didn't treat me the way I deserve to be treated. My tolerance was like, I'm not putting up with that crap. I'd rather be alone than settling for
Right.
someone who doesn't value me, who doesn't appreciate me. And I'm like, I'm so much happier not dealing with that crap. So it's like, it's like we got to find somebody who's like you said, given a fraction of how we're treating ourselves, or even
And
just someone.
I'm sorry. And a fraction is too little, actually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Even if you give a fraction, that's too little. Latoya, I agree with you. And I think a lot of women are in relationships just to say that they are in relationships. You just go in emotions because somehow we have been again indoctrinated to feel like if you got a man, then you something. Um, so getting to this point for me is like, first you got to feel like you something outside of whoever else is in your life. You got to be something to yourself. And there's a lot of women. I look at them and I go, first of all, I look at the guy and think to myself, wow, like, wow. And you know what, ladies, also, we need to start trusting our energy. We need to trust how we feel. How do you feel when you're around certain people? How do you feel when you're out on a date with a guy? Your body is going to give you all the warnings, all the caution signs, all the stop signs. But so often we just blow right through those signs because we start to think, oh, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe, maybe it'll get better, or maybe I can change him. And that's all a part of having very low self-esteem too. When you think that you can change someone, or you're not able to trust how you feel, then that's all bad. It is totally all bad.
So true, so true. That is so true. And it's like, because our bodies speak to us. And so we have to understand, we might not know clearly, but I learned that a long time ago. Even just with what when you want to say something to somebody, feel it. So when you want to say something to someone, if it makes you feel bad and you're crying, then that's not what you're supposed to be saying to that person, So it's
Right.
like, does that make sense? So it's like feeling what you're supposed to be saying. When you're going to say something to someone, this feels right. Not necessarily that it feels
Right.
good, but it feels right. Yes, this is what I should be saying. And then other times it's like, this doesn't feel right. It's making me feel worse. I'm bad. It's making me feel really bad. Yeah. So it's like we have to trust what we feel. And I want to go back on what we were talking about a little bit earlier. I was taking a course, my transpersonal psychology course, and one of the things that my professor said was, fake it until you make it. So he's like, if you want to be a certain way, fake it in the beginning. Find someone who has exactly how you want to be, start imitating, start mimicking, and doing that and doing that and doing that. And what happens is you begin to build a habit. You begin to feel that energy and you begin to be like, ooh, and then that shift starts to happen. And next thing you know, you
Right.
are that. And so, when he said that, I was like, let me try that, And so, because there's always someone we see, and we're like, oh my God, I love the qualities of that person. And that's because partly that is in you, and that's who you really want to be. So watch what they're doing, watch how they speak. And it's not saying to be exactly like them, speak exactly like them, because you're going to be you, but just watch so you can start to see, and you can start to develop those characteristics within you and allowing that to come out in you.
I love
So,
that you said that, because that is how my brand came about, my I Am Goddess brand. Everything
mhm.
that I have done from 2009 has been I Am Goddess, until I just, took on that name. I am Goddess,
Right.
But that's what I did. I used to be overweight, really overweight. Most of my adulthood, I was overweight. And when I decided that I wanted to shed the pounds, that's how I got into fitness and nutrition. But when I decided that I wanted to shed the pounds, I would go to the gym and I'd be by myself, and I would talk myself through those long cardio sessions, talk myself through the Stairmaster. And I would say to myself, I had this alter ego picture in my head, this superhero, this she was fearless, she was sexy, she was confident, she was beautiful, people admired her. And I had this in my head every day when I went to the gym, and I would tell myself, I am Goddess. That was my alter ego. And as I did that every day, I'm Goddess, I started to look like a damn goddess. Those things other.
Oh man, you're going out. Oh, you went out. Not hearing you. I'm not sure if you're talking. So, kind of try to come back. Nope, not hearing you.
Okay.
Okay, now I hear you.
Have this.
Mm, no, no. Kind of coming in and out.
Okay.
I heard the okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like every other word comes out well. It happens. This is what happens when you do live. It's not pre-recorded, so we can't edit. It's live. When you're live, you take it as you get it. So that means some things are gonna work, some things might not work. But while she's saying that, let me just say really quick, don't forget to subscribe. If you're new, if you're new to my channel, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can receive the notifications for my new videos and lives. So, Mo the Goddess, I Am Goddess TV. So I guess she was saying we kind of lost her, but she was saying that basically she kind of did that premise of fake it till you make it. Latoya says, I think the internet issues worldwide with everyone being home. Yeah, I think so too. Fake it till you make it. And that's one of the things that, since I took my course and my professor said to do that, and that's one of the things that I did in many different areas. And so, she was starting to say about how she was overweight most of her adult life, and kind of just started, creating this alter ego to talk her through while she's working out. And that's a really, really, really great experience. When I was talking earlier about the picture that I put up on Facebook and Instagram with me being nude, I had actually wrote about that, how I didn't really, I didn't really love my body. I always thought I was overweight. I was always, a little chubby. And so So I had a lot of issues with that. And then since being in Brazil, I had lost weight, and wasn't because I was really trying. It just kind of happened because I started walking a lot, and I didn't have as much money to eat as much as I like to eat. Because when I first got here, I wasn't working. Most of my money I had that I saved was running out, so I wasn't eating as much as I normally eat. I definitely had to like worry about not overspending, and so then I ended up losing weight, and it also just kind of, says I love to eat. I love to eat too, and it just kind of helped me to just kind of connect to my body in a different way, to feel my
Right.
body in a different way. Are you coming back? No. Kind of heard something, but no. And so, and so that's what. So I wrote about that in with the picture that I put. But it was so funny to see how people had more of an issue with the fact that I was naked than what I said. Like if you read that, it was such a beautiful message, getting people to like connect to their bodies, to love their bodies no matter what. And it's like we're so closed and we're so repressed that we allow people's thoughts and this beautiful image to shape us and affect us. But it's like once you step out and you're like, forget whatever the people are saying, it doesn't matter, and you're doing your life, then things start to change and you start to shift. I think she's back. Are you back?
Well, even with
Yeah,
me, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying, even with me posting my images, most of the time I'm very strategic in the way that I post. I always post an image where I feel good about myself, but then I write a long blog about it. And
Mhm.
you wouldn't believe how many people just overlook all the words that I've said, and they're just looking at the picture. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And they're like,
Yeah.
you know, you either get trolls that just like to see skin
Mhm.
and miss the whole point, or you I'm offensive to women. The women that I'm trying to reach don't really realize that they actually need what I have, because they don't
Mhm.
take the time to read. They're just looking. And
Mhm.
one of my mentors told me, I was like having a hard time trying to reach the tribe that I wanted to build, of women who were also in the process of building themselves and becoming whole. And I was like, I'm just not getting the audience that I want. And she said, I think it's because women don't, when they look at you, they feel like what you have is unobtainable. They can't obtain that sense of confidence. They can't obtain the freedom to express themselves with their body. They can't obtain that. So they just scroll right through and go, oh, she's a hoe. Oh, she just a
Mhm.
hoe. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and that's what I've been getting. But I'm also attracting a whole lot of men because they want to see skin. So
Mhm.
my branding and what it is that I'm doing and what I'm teaching is in a whole transition right now as well. So I'm
Mhm.
using this time to figure out, okay, what direction do I want to go in? I've been trying to reach women for all these years, and it's not where I would like it to be. So what's the next level? And I think what's happening in the universe right now is really presenting us with an invitation to meet our next level. So I encourage everyone to, take the time to really get to know yourself and get to know who you are and what it is that you want, and slowly become that.
Right. Right. And so you were saying before you got cut off before about when you were at the gym, and so we didn't get to hear everything. So you kind of started where you had your alter ego and you would talk to yourself as you were working out, and
Yeah.
then kind of didn't hear anything from there.
Oh, I'm
So if you
sorry.
can kind of explain
Yeah,
that again.
that was my fake it till you make it, evolution. I was just telling myself all the things that I was to get me through those workouts. If y'all hear that in the background, they constantly sweeping and building stuff around here. So
Yeah.
sorry. But yeah, so I just began to speak life to myself every day. I am goddess. I am goddess. And before you knew it, I was her. You know, all that strength and all that beauty and all that intelligence and all that confidence. I had become that because I talked myself through what I wanted to be every day. So
Yeah.
visualizing is a great way to fake it until you make it too. You actually have to put yourself in that thing. You have to smell it. You have to feel it. You got to hold on to it. You got to really, begin to sink into what it is that you want. And before you know it, that's who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you give us like just kind of like a little summary or wrap up? Like what would you say, maybe like five or three or five most important things you think you could say to someone to get to that point, to live unapologetically, to have that confidence, to be who they're supposed to be or want to be? Like what three to five tips would you say?
Well, honestly, and as minuscule as it might sound, take some time to yourself. That's number one. Be by yourself. Get to know what if you remove yourself from certain people, you remove yourself from certain environments, you remove yourself geographically even out of what is, what you're used to, then you start to learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
You have no choice. It's like you're depending on you. So do you want to be a survivor or do you want to be this little weakling? You have to, weigh the odds. So I would say again, take time by yourself and begin to speak life to yourself. Be real with yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. What is it, that you don't love about yourself, and begin to speak to that. And eventually you'll become that. And
Mhm.
secondly, be okay with being vulnerable. Be okay with, having stuff. We all got stuff. We all have things that happen to us in our past. We all have things that we struggle with. And not to say that you have to express that to everyone else online or in America, but be able to speak it to yourself and know that you are still enough in spite of those things. And eventually you'll work your way through that.
Mhm. Mhm. That's awesome. I like that. I like that. That was a great like summary of everything that we said, and like just
Mhm.
some good tips for people. And I think it's really important. A lot of us are kind of forced to be with ourselves now. So really taking advantage of that time
Right,
and being with yourself, and just like finding yourself being occupied and busy and trying to do 50 million things. Like actually be with yourself.
right,
Talk to yourself like you're your own best friend. Tell yourself stuff like, what you want to hear, what you've been going through, what you're feeling. Journal. And I love what you said, looking in the mirror. And that's one of the things that I did too. Um, at one point when I was starting to work on myself, I was told in some group or class or something, or maybe a therapist said to do, and I started, looking in the mirror, and I just started saying, I love you. I love you. You're
right.
beautiful. Like everything that I needed to hear to begin to believe, and that was just like so important to do, so important to do. So, share with us, how can people find you? Um, what's your YouTube channel? What's your social media stuff? How can people find you if they want to continue? Tell me what's going on with you. Um,
Well,
so
you
how
guys,
can
I'm
more?
very active on all social platforms. But YouTube, my channel is I Am Goddess TV. I would love for each one of you to subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell because, like I said, I'm very active on there. Um, I'm uploading a lot when my internet is working. um, and you can also find me on Instagram at I am Goddess one, the number one. I am Goddess one. Um, as well as I'm launching this new platform to help women to step into being unapologetic about who they are and who they've always been. A lot of times we don't even remember who we are for real, for real. You know? So, yeah, I'm launching this membership program. This is the opportunity where we take the time we build on ourselves and we become and we step into the highest version of ourselves. So the membership is called the Badass Goddess Society, and that launches on the 5th of April. So that's something to help people to really, build their confidence and um, embrace their wholeness. And I'm real happy about that. So if you follow me on any of those platforms, you will get information about all of that. And again, subscribe, become, evolve, be the badass you were created to be.
Yes, yes. So we could find Mo the Goddess on Instagram at I am Goddess One, YouTube I am Goddess TV. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can receive those messages when she posts new videos. And the membership Badass Goddess Society, and that launches April 5th, 2020. That's exciting. That's exciting. So for me, if you're here, then you're on my YouTube channel, Prandhara Prem. So please don't forget to subscribe before you leave and hit the notification bell. On Instagram, I'm also Prandhara Prem on Instagram. Facebook, I'm Renee Adolphe, but I don't know when that's going to be back up and running. So hopefully soon. But Instagram, Prandhara Prem, PRANDHARAPREM. And I also have a membership club through Patreon. So join me on Patreon at Prandhara Prem as well. And that's basically I'm doing on Sundays. I have self-exploration Sundays. Mondays is meditation Mondays, and Tuesdays tantric Tuesdays. And so not only are you getting these different tools on how to self-explore and just kind of connect to your body and get to know your body in another way and become that goddess that you are. You get to do different meditations and work on tantric activities, but I'm giving you videos, tips, tools on just how to work with your sexual energy, how to learn how to breathe, to channel your energy, and so many different things so that we could be the sexy sexual beings that we are. So this was awesome. We're gonna have to try to have you back on again, so we could go
No,
even more.
I need to have you on my YouTube channel as well. And I promise you, the next time the internet will be a lot better because we just got to go somewhere else. We got to go somewhere else where the internet is better. That's okay. But I definitely want to have you on my channel as well because, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Explain what your name means.
Oh, yes. So Prandhara Prem. So I received this name during my Tantra initiation when I lived in a Tantra commune in Minas Gerais, which is a city and state actually in Brazil. So Prandhara Prem means to go with the flow of love and life.
Oh, nice. I'm glad
Beautiful. Yeah. So I really love that name when I got it. I was like, oh my God, like this has been my progress to really get to the point where I'm going with the flow of love and life and not giving a fuck.
Right. So is Brazil your home or are you passing through there?
So I've lived in Brazil for 9 years. I would not say it's my home because I feel like my home is the world.
That's right, girl.
I'm a woman of the world, and I'm constantly traveling. This is why this is a great challenge for me because I was not supposed to be here where I am right now today, but I am. But I've lived in Brazil the last 9 years. I travel often. So I'm constantly going to either somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Southeast Asia, somewhere in North America, somewhere in South America. Like I'm all over the place. And wherever I lay my head is my home. Was that also Papa was a Rolling Stone? So
So before we end, and I know we're about to end, but I also want to say traveling also makes you unapologetic about your life because first of all, if you can travel, if you're a strong woman and you are solo traveling, first of all, you're opening yourself up to other people, other languages, other cultures, other being, and you realize that we've been lied to for so many years about so many things. Um, and that creates the badass within you. So once this thing has like subsided, don't be afraid to travel. Don't be afraid to relocate. Don't be afraid to break the routine. Don't be
yeah,
afraid to do something different because you become a whole different type of woman. Want to allow yourself the freedom to be who the fuck it is you want to be. That's all.
exactly. So true, so true, so true. Um, and that's one of the things I definitely have to say, traveling alone, because I left in 2009 and decided to travel on my own. And my first country that I landed in was in India, and it was so surreal. And I was like, I'm really doing this. I'm really by myself.
Right,
And I
right.
just had to learn so many different ways of connecting with people from different cultures, different languages. When shit just didn't go right, I had to figure it out on my own because I couldn't call mama, help me. Who was a 15-hour flight away. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I find myself being in that position right now. Like, it's so surreal. This is a really surreal experience. Um, and had I not been going through the process of growing, of evolving, of not giving a damn what people think about me, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So
true.
I'm loving it. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate you. I can't wait to do it again. And
Yes, me too. Me too.
yeah.
And just, I don't know, does anyone have any questions or comments that they want to say before we leave? Anything that you want to share about how the show went? Any questions that you may have for either of us? I'm sorry, I meant to ask that during. I think I said that in the beginning and then I forgot again. But if anyone has any questions or anything, would love to hear and respond. All right. So this was great. This was really, really good. I learned a lot. So and it's funny because just sharing and talking with you, I learned a lot from you, but I also learned from myself because I'm hearing and reiterating things that I need to hear. And so that's why
Right.
these types of things are so important because each time that we're doing this type of exchange, we're all learning from each other, you know?
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
so,
we're all being reminded. We're being reminded of something within ourselves. And thank you, MNP. I see that you subscribe to my channel already. I appreciate that.
yes. This, so that's Miriam. And MNP is Miriam. And she said, good stuff. So yes. So thank you for subscribing to Mo the Goddess. You're gonna get some great information. And thank you for subscribing to my channel as well. So everybody have a great night. Love you guys. And I'll see you for the next live. And I can't wait to join you, Mo the Goddess, on your YouTube. So good
Bye.
night. Bye everyone.